Alright, welcome in everybody. It's your favorite fellow Pokemon trainer, Lord Rosnell here, and today we're going to be starting some Pokemon Wilds. Now, for anybody that doesn't know what Pokemon Wilds is, the long and short of it is pretty much if Stardew Valley and Pokemon Silver, Gold, or Crystal had a baby. It's pretty much a kind of farmy type base building type deal, but all with the skin of Gen 2 Pokemon, which I'm super excited about because Gen 2 was my favorite gen overall. I'll be going through everything and trying to help teach everybody a little bit along the way. I've already played a good bit of this on my own, so I'm going to be starting a brand new world and should be really interesting. So definitely if you end up having any comments or questions or anything like that, definitely drop them down below. I will definitely be putting some other resources down in the description below as well. So if you need any kind of general resources, they'll be there for you. Overall, this is a fan-made game. It's pretty much not associated with the Pokemon Company in any way, shape, or form, so don't expect amazing things or anything like that, but from what I've played so far, really enjoy it. I'll definitely put the link down below where you can download this, as well as the Discord for the entire community that's working on the game or just playing the game in general. So that way you'll have those resources available. They even have a Google spreadsheet where they essentially have the Pokedex of who's all in the game so far, who they're planning on coming into the game, the moves they can learn, the stats, and how you can evolve them. Because there's definitely some Pokemon that you would normally have to evolve by trading, but they've, worked around that. So that's especially nice. So let's go ahead and get started. So overall, this is the overall starting screen, and you have a handful of different things. Obviously, you have the new and the load. So if you want to load a save file, it's you can easily do that. I think you can have multiple. I'm not 100% sure. Haven't actually tried it yet, so that'll be interesting to find out later on. I don't know what the file default is. I'm assuming you could probably name what the file is, so it's easier for you to find it. We'll just call this stream file, so that way it's we might be able to differentiate the two. Now, the nice thing about this is all of the maps are procedurally generated, so you won't get the same map twice. So it has a lot of replay ability to it. And then you can choose anywhere from small to double XL size for the world, which will give you that much more to explore. We're going to be starting on the double XL. I think I started on the XL on my playthrough off stream, so I want to give myself that little bit of extra stuff to explore. Now, the real fun thing is you can find the edge of the world, but if you do, you can continue on past that and it will create a whole new map. So if, say, something doesn't spawn in your world, you can just go to the edge of the world, load up a whole nother map, and bada bing bada boom, you got some more fresh stuff, and you might be able to find what you're missing. And the nice thing is you can always go back to your original map just by going in the direction that you came from. Real simple. Obviously, gotta name myself Lord Rosnell, just makes sense. Now, one of the fun things that I really like about this is the player option. Not only do you have a wide variety of colors that you can choose from that really helps you customize exactly what you can be, but you have a whole bunch of different sprites from all the different games, as well as some of the sprites from newer games, but brought down to the Gen 2 graphics. So obviously you have your main protagonist, Red sprite right here. That's supposed to be, I believe, green. I believe that might be either Gen 2 specifically, or that might be Pokemon Yellow version of Red. And then I think, if I remember correctly, that's Crystal. That's from Gen 3. Not 100. I think that's supposed to be May from Gen 3. I believe that's is that Gen 4? No, that's Gen 5. Same with that. And then, yeah, so that's black and white, and then that's black 2, white 2. Same with this one here. That's supposed to be Serena, so I think I'm trying to remember which gen Serena comes in at. I know it's the one that has Fennekin. But yeah, you get a whole mess of options, so that's really nice. But we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna go with this one. Why? Just cause I feel it. I feel it. So let's go ahead and get started. Now, the nice thing is while it's generating everything, it'll give you the quick rundown of your controls. Arrows for your movement, pretty simple. Hold down X to run. Then you got the Z and the X for your A and B buttons, which is really nice. The Pokeballs that you can craft out of apricorns, they're pretty useful. You do tend to find a good handful on the ground as well, which is really nice. Yeah, ghosts are pretty wild, and they're very much so the ghosts from Gen 1 when you first enter the Lavender Tower. So you can't see them or anything like that. You have to actually craft one of the Silphcos to actually be able to see those ghosts. But that doesn't mean you can't find any ghost type Pokemon until you do that. There's just certain ones that will end up spawning and chasing you. Now the nice thing is they don't just drop you in the middle of nowhere with nothing. They start you off with a Machop. Now having a Machop is a pretty big deal because it will know the build ability, which that is what's going to give you the ability to build some fences to corral some of your extra Pokemon, as well as like build some buildings so that way you have a safe place to sleep, as well as things like campfires, decorations, and all that fun stuff. And on top of that, you have the cool ability to make your Pokemon follow you around, which is really helpful. Now, one of the neat things about this game is you don't have to battle everything. You can just go up and talk to Pokemon, and if it gives you that little smiley face, you can just be like, hey, you want to join up? And bada bing, bada boom. Just like that, we got ourselves a Chikorita. Now, one thing I will definitely suggest is when you're picking up Pokemon, always check to see what moves they have, more so of like the moves they can do outside of battle. So like right here, Chikorita can do Cut, which is incredibly useful. So we'll go ahead and have her start using Cut. And then what you can do is you can cut down trees, which that'll start giving you resources. Not only can you just cut down trees, you can also cut down grass as well, because that will also be a useful resource for building. Now, one thing to keep in mind, the bigger trees, you have to fully evolve your Pokemon to be able to cut down the bigger trees. And the bigger the tree you find, the more things it will drop for you. Oh, so see, Totodile and Chikorita, they seem to like each other. And plus, who doesn't want a Totodile? Yeah, we'll add Totodile to our party. Why not? Who doesn't love a Totodile? Ooh, and it's a level 10? Ooh, we're already killing it. Now, cutting down trees, as you can see just a little bit ago, I got a yellow apricot. Now, as far as I know, it's kind of random based on what you get. You should always get a log, and then there's a chance that you can get apricots. Now, each of the apricots that you can get kind of vary, and each of the colored apricots will determine what it's able to turn into Pokeball-wise. One thing to keep an eye out for is there are berry trees that you can find, and sometimes they will actually be Sudowoodos, which is really fun. Now, one thing to keep in mind is you can't pick up items when your Pokemon's doing a move. Now, you can come in here and then just tell them to follow you or switch them out or anything like that. But fun thing is if you hold down the X button while you're out in the overworld, they'll automatically go back into their Pokeball, so you don't have to go through all of the different menus. Ooh, Kangaskhan? I love me a good Kangaskhan. Also level 10, perfect. Ooh, and those Headbutt and Ride. So now Ride's really fun because it's essentially the equivalent of your bike in this situation. That way you can move a little bit faster and you don't have to worry. The fun thing is that fire type Pokemon usually will emit some light. So let's, all right. So that right there. So if they're an aggressive Pokemon, that means you can't just add them to your party. You would have to fight them to try and catch them. But the nice thing is you can talk to them once and be told, hey, this is an aggressive Pokemon, but they won't immediately attack you. If you talk to them again, then they will attack you. Well, seeing as how it's nighttime, and we don't want to necessarily deal with any ghosts or anything like that, let's go ahead and see if we can't build ourselves a campfire real quick. Being able to switch through the different items you can build with C and V, pretty much in a rotating circle. Let's see what our options are. So we can do a fire, but we need some more grass. We got plenty of logs, but not enough grass. That's fine. Now, one nice thing about the fire is that's where you can craft your Pokeballs and other like important items. So definitely very needed to build the fire for sure. The nice thing is you have signs all throughout the world that will give you little tips and tricks. For the most part, it's pretty straightforward. If you've ever actually played a Pokemon game, you should have a general idea of what you need to do. Now, for those of you joining us, you might be wondering, Lord, why do you have those Pokemon sprites down in the bottom corner? What's going on with that? Well, if you're watching me live on Twitch, You can do command challenge and get a quick description, but those of you watching on YouTube right now, the challenge is I'm not going to go after any of the legendary Pokemon that are available in this game until I have my full team of 6, which is right down below us. Now I do have Electivire on the list, but off to the side, because I'd prefer to have Electivire, and from what I've seen, they should be in the game, but I've never run into them. But I know for a fact I've ran into a Flaffy before, so Ampharos is the placeholder for the more realistic thing. You can check your map. You can see that it will have a little flashing icon for where you last slept. Where you last slept should also act as essentially a safe spot for any extra Pokemon you might happen to catch while you're out and about. So kind of like a box system. Ooh, Garchomps. All right, so as you can see, there's some eggs on the ground. Obviously, it's like I'm willing to bet that's a Gibble egg. But if I just happen to come in here and I take that Gibble egg, those Garchomp are going to aggro on me and they're going to try and kill me. And I'm going to say I don't want any of that. Now, this building right here, very interesting build. This is where as you run around and you learn some more things, you will find out that you can find a Pokemon that has the dig ability. They'll be able to dig up things from the ground, and it's something you can find in the ground is going to be fossils, which is going to be really helpful. And then this building right here is where you will be able to turn those Pokemon from fossils into actual Pokemon. Now, 2 things that you need to keep in mind. 1, you're going to need an electric type Pokemon to power this up for the very first time so you can actually do the process. And 2, when you turn them from fossils into actual Pokemon, you don't just get them like you would in the game. You have to actually battle them to catch them. And then there are some Pokemon that will just straight up aggro on you whether you talk to them or not. So definitely keep an eye out for those ones. Actually, you know what would be nice? Probably like right around here. We can start setting up camp right around here. Now, one thing to keep in mind is if you do aggro Pokemon at any point in time, they will not forget. They will always be aggro to you, but you can kind of dodge around them and get away so they stop chasing you. But if they end up noticing you again, it's on sight. There is no getting away. There's no like, oh, it's like maybe they forgot. No, it's they do not forgive. They do not forget. You either have to take them out or catch them for you to have some peace. What I think I'll do is I'll put one right there so that way it'll at least be generally close. But at least now we will have a spot for general craft. As you can see, there's a bunch of different things that you can craft up. Storage is a nice thing, though I can't say I ever ran into any storage problems. I think that's more so for if you are playing the game and you don't want to have to worry about like constantly going through a bunch of different items all the time. Now the building, pretty simple and straightforward. Let's go ahead and find ourselves a door. Was that earlier? It sure was. Then ba-boom. Now the neat thing about the way the building system works is it literally goes based on the walls that you've put up. So as you can see here, it's just a line. But as we progress through and we add more walls and such, we'll make the inside of the building better. So that way we can have some extra space. Now, one thing you do want to keep in mind when you are building fences for the terrain of all of your Pokemon is each Pokemon has its like own preference of what environment it likes to be in. So it definitely never hurts to dig up as much as you can. So that way you can have a wide variety of options so you can try and keep your Pokemon as happy as possible. The experience you gain from these Pokemon, it's super nice. Almost 3 levels from that one Pokemon. And then just to show you the difference of how quickly your health will go up when you're sleeping inside in comparison to sleeping outside. Pretty significant. Instead of just getting 1 per tick, you're getting 2 per tick, and I feel like it does happen more often, which big help. And then boom, just like that, you're all healed up. Now I will say, if you get a status effect on your Pokemon, unless you can find one of the appropriate berries to get rid of it. So what I would generally suggest is if you don't have a berry to fully heal any of your Pokemon status effects, it's usually just easiest to battle them until they faint and then just take a nap. It's like, it seems kind of cruel, but it's honestly the best way of doing it. Just every so often, make sure you're stopping off at your fire So that way you can craft up as much as possible. We found ourselves a Scyther, which if it's anything like my other game, they should just be very chill, which seems kind of odd for a Scyther, especially with the way they are depicted in the anime itself. Scythers usually tend to be a little bit more aggressive. Now, the nice thing about the tall grass is you get more grass from them. Doesn't matter what order they're in, because they're following you, they're the most immediate out. Feels like it makes sense, but just in case. Now, one thing I do like about this whole setup is the time is constantly going. So one thing that you might have noticed is it went from a dark screen to a light screen. Go ahead and throw a Pokeball at it. It should just get immediately sent to where we last slept. So we're gonna test this out, make sure it's all good. And the nice thing about this is they added in experience gain off catching Pokemon, which is also a big help. Now, one thing I do want to point out is, as you can see with all of our moves, there is no PP for any of the moves. So you don't have to worry about trying to find any ethers or elixirs or anything like that. You can just keep going until your Pokemon faint, which is a really great thing when it comes to this game. Ooh, we found ourselves a Mareep. That is Pokemon number 2 on our list. We're already doing pretty good. We got Scyther ready to become a Scizor. We got a Mareep ready to be caught for our Ampharos. We know where Poliwrath is hiding out. We're pretty much halfway there out the rip. Feeling good. You know what? We're gonna go ahead and throw a love ball, because I love me Mareep. Mareep's such a cutie, and Ampharos is such a great Pokemon. Electivire might be my favorite electric, but I think Ampharos and its whole line is a very, very close second. All right, if you've made it this far, first of all, thank you. Second, it's like, why don't you go ahead and hit that like and subscribe button? It will really help me out, and I'd really appreciate it. And if you happen to have any questions or any suggestions, why don't you go ahead and drop them down in the comment section below. And if you're feeling real frisky, why don't you head down to the description, find my Twitch link, head on over there and drop me a follow, especially if you want to see me play any of this live. I usually like to try and play these live on Saturday, anywhere from 7 to 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. With it being Saturday, I might go a little bit later, but I usually end around 10, so